Hello and welcome to match day 8 of Championship predictions from the Honest Football Podcast. I'm Craig Savage. With me, as always, is Mr. Daniel Cody. Let's have a quick recap on the midweek edition of the Championship. And no perfect scores at all. Wasn't a very good week. Only 8 points in total between both of us. Myself with 3 points, Daniel Cody on 5. So let's have, hopefully, an improvement for match day 8. And we start off the early fixture in that game. It is Hull City versus Sheffield United. And to start with Sheffield United, I had so many chances against Preston, but conceded in the 95th minute, which cost me a perfect score.
It did. And let's be honest, it's becoming a bit of a story of the season for Sheffield United, which is giving away silly chances, giving away last-minute equalisers or goals at home. It's a really strange season. You finally thought it had kicked off when they got that battering against Peterborough, but we said they still had those defensive frailties, and it proved the case. So a side that are yet to win on the road against a side in Hull, who are the worst team at home in the Championship, 1 point from their 3 games. They actually played all right at Blackburn. They had as many shots, they had more possession, they did pretty well, but it doesn't matter because they gave away cheap goals again in the last half an hour. Maybe Hull are a side that are going to tire towards the end of matches. So, you know what? I'm going to back Sheffield United to win it, but I can't see either side keeping a clean sheet. So I'm going for 2-1 to the visitors.
I'm going to go 1-0 to the visitors. Maybe they got a bit ahead of themselves because they finally won a game, crowd on the side. But yeah, another last-minute goal at home. That's probably a bit worrying for Jukanovic's side. Obviously, lost that last-minute goal to Huddersfield a few weeks ago, but it's the same again against a similar side to Preston. They'll be really disappointed in that because they really should take advantage of being 2-1 ahead. Hull, on the other hand, they're just going through motions at the moment. I think they're finding it a bit tough coming back into the Championship. So yeah, it's looking really hard for them, but I think it's going to be a Sheffield United win, to be honest. All right, up next up at Oakwell is Barnsley versus Blackburn. Barnsley, they had that point against Stoke. The goalkeeper Collins played very well, saved the penalty. Blackburn gone back to the winning ways.
Yeah, Barnsley are making a bit of a habit, really, of penalty saves at the moment. I think it would be fair to say in that game more of the action was off the pitch than on it, with most of the red cards coming off the pitch as well. It was just bizarre. First time in a long time I've seen a proper punch-up on the touchline, which is not what we want to see, but either way, it shows the passion that both sides held.
To be honest, that guy that threw the punch didn't get sent off. So I'm assuming there'll be some retrospective action. Barnsley and Stoke are probably going to get a fine for failure to control players, which any little scuffle nowadays clubs seem to get fined on. But sorry, carry on.
Blackburn, on the other hand, as you say, were fortuitous, I would say. It was a very even game, but they took their chances. Ben Brereton is... I tell you what, he's proving that it was a good bit of business to sell Armstrong for the money they did. He's been on fire so far this season, obviously continuing his international exploits, which might take its toll later on the season. I don't know what to go for this one. I think I'm going to have to play safe with a draw because that's been the majority of both sides' seasons. But I don't think it'll be the Championship's favourite scoreline because both teams are better going forward than they are at the back. So I'm going 2 apiece.
I think Barnsley will be happy with the point against Stoke. Blackburn... They got the draw last weekend. They got the win this. I think it's going to be another typical Blackburn Tony Mowbray performance where they'll actually lose the game. I'm going to go for Barnsley to win 1-0. All right, up next at the Cardiff City Stadium is Cardiff versus Bournemouth. It's going to be a tough game for Cardiff. They lost in midweek to Coventry. I know they got the victory against Forest, but at the moment, everyone seems to be beating Forest, apart from Derby. Let's talk quickly to what James Collins. He's obviously joined there from Luton Town. We know James Collins very well for the last 3-4 years. No goals yet. Are you slightly concerned or...?
I don't know if I'm concerned. I think the thing I was looking forward to in pre-season probably was seeing some games where they threw both of them up there together. And we saw Collins and Kiefer Moore, who was obviously a star for them last season. I think Collins sort of showed at Luton he's not a solo striker. He always looked phenomenal in a diamond or when we played a back 3 and had 2 up front, but often struggled when isolated on his own because he doesn't really have the pace. He doesn't have the extreme physicality. He's a workhorse, and if he's given service, he'll score goals in the box. But I don't think he's had that yet at Cardiff. I still think it will come, but I think they're going to need to get Kiefer Moore back firing and probably a slight change in shape, or at least a change in tempo going forward. They're playing a Bournemouth side who are on form. I can't look past Bournemouth, and I know I'm making myself look silly because I had Cardiff to go up, but Bournemouth are going to win this pretty comfortably for me. I'm going to go for 3-1 to the visitors.
Bournemouth, yeah, I think obviously got the consolation for QPR a bit later on, but they nearly lost it, the 2 extra points. So I think that's where Bournemouth got to be a little bit careful on. Still unbeaten in the league, along with West Brom. that's my only little negative at the moment with Bournemouth. They've got to be a bit careful, but away from home, they seem to be a bit better than at home. I'm going to go 1-1. I think it's going to be a lot tighter than a lot of people will think. Right, up next at Pride Park, it is Derby County versus Stoke. We talked about Stoke's 1-1. Well, a little bit. Obviously, a missed penalty from Francic. Derby got that point away at West Brom. You have to give them a little bit of credit.
Yeah, they worked so hard. They ran all day without the ball. And they did what I didn't think they could do. I said I thought they'd tire towards the end of the match, and they didn't do that. Let's be fair, though. They didn't muster a shot on target. And on any other day, West Brom could have won by 3 or 4 because I think they had 25 shots in the end, 9 on target. My worry is, although they've had an extra day's rest, what are the consequences going to be for the fact that they had 35% of the ball and chased a very good side all day, albeit they dealt with set pieces well with their experience at the back? I think this might be a game too fast. Stoke have started really well, albeit on the road. That has been their only defeat. I'm going to go for Stoke to nick it by 1-0. I think it'll be a boring game.
I think Stoke will nick this by 2-0. I think they'll be a bit frustrated that they didn't get the 3 points against Barnsley. We obviously spoke about the off-the-field shenanigans come the end of the game, but on the pitch, I think Stoke have a lot more quality than Derby. I think they'll win this one 2-0. Right, next up, it's at Craven Cottage. It is Fulham versus Reading. Fulham back to winning ways, back to convincing winning ways, against a very strong Birmingham at home.
Yeah, but Birmingham did have a fair amount of chances. So similar to a lot of the teams at the top, really. We said it about Bournemouth a minute ago. It's the defensive side that you worry about. Fulham had a little run of clean sheets, but they conceded a silly goal against Blackpool. They weren't great defensively against Birmingham, but we know the threat they've got going forward. Mitrovic, it looks almost certain, will be top scorer this season in the Championship. But then Reading are back to winning ways as well, which they really needed. It was a convincing win. One of the young Lone Stars of the summer, Deli Bashiru, was the star of the show. And to be fair, Reading, they're still the top goal scorers at home. They're one of the top goal scorers in the Championship, but they can't defend to save their lives. So 2 ball defences, neither will keep a clean sheet. But you've got to go Fulham, haven't you? Could be any score, but I'm going for 3-1.
I'm going to go 3-0. I expect Fulham to do well at home. Try and make Craven Cottage a fortress. Reading, on the other hand, obviously they lost Liam Moore to injury early on, so that could be a bit of a blow. Fulham will win this one 3-0, keep a clean sheet. Right, up next at John Smith's, it is Huddersfield versus managerless Nottingham Forest. 6 defeats in 7 has given Chris Hughton the chop. You can watch that video of our reactions to Chris Hughton's sacking and who we think will be the next manager of Nottingham Forest in the bar. Please do check that video out. We won't go on to Forest, as we said, we're going to save that. Let's go to Huddersfield because there's a very good 3-0 away win at Blackpool.
Yeah, and I did say before the Stoke game last weekend that I didn't think they'd beat Stoke because they've only beaten the sides that have been in and around them or expected to finish in the bottom half this year, perhaps bar Sheffield United in the last minute. But to be fair to them, all you can do is beat those sides and then they'll be the best of the bunch. And if they can nick a few other results, then maybe they go top half or they challenge for the playoffs. So huge credit to them. They've certainly proved they're not going to go down or be near that threat because they're beating all of those bottom 8 or 9 sides. They're playing against a Forest side that I have a sneaky suspicion based on the pace it's moving will have a new manager bounce by the weekend, whether or not it's in the stands or the dugout. And you say managerless Nottingham Forest, there'll probably be about 6 hours between us recording this and it coming out. So who's to say they'll be managerless then? I think it's going to be a draw to play safe because Forest will get some sort of reaction. Huddersfield have been good against the bottom half sides. And I still don't think Forest will solve their attacking problem. So I'm playing safe with the Championship's favourite scoreline.
I agree with mostly what you just said. I disagree on the scoreline. I don't think it'd be a draw. I think Huddersfield will carry on, let's say, sticking the knife into Forest and that sort of thing. Obviously, if they can make the John Smiths a bit more hostile, like they did when they got promoted to the Premier League a few years ago, then I think it could be quite hard for Forest. If Forest concede early on, I think it'll be a very tough afternoon because obviously the confidence is low already. As we said, 6 defeats in 7 championship games. Bottom of the table is not looking good for them. I'm going to go Huddersfield to win 2-0. Right, up next at Kenilworth Road, it is Luton Town versus Swansea. Danny Hilton, I said it to you before the game, Danny Hilton's going to do something, and I was right. 90th minute. All right, it's a tap, and who cares? But his first championship goal. Luton probably deserve more than a point. It's frustrating that it's only a point.
Yeah, we'll talk a bit more about the Bristol City side of that in a minute. Great story personally for Danny Hilton. Obviously, was crucial to the promotions from both League Two and League One, and then has barely kicked a ball since due to injury. So really nice to see him get his goal. I'll be honest, I don't think he's going to make it as a Championship player at this age after those injuries, but that's a moment that will be with him forever and that the fans will remember forever. And if that can be the last memory, then great. The problem with this game, Craig, is that Luton don't take their chances. Swansea give a few chances up but can't score. So as much as I'm going to the game and I would like it to be a thriller, I have no choice but to go for 0-0.
Oh, I wasn't expecting 0-0. Well, another repeat of a 0-0 draw for Swansea because that's what they had in midweek. Luton, on the other hand, yeah, I agree. They had to take chances. I'll be more annoyed if they didn't get a point from yesterday because I didn't see them conceding against Bristol City. And we'll talk about Bristol City. We'll get onto them later. But if they didn't get a point out of that game, I'll be very, very annoyed. Like you probably would, and like most Luton fans, because they had the chances in the first half. There was like a spurt of like 4 shots in 20 seconds or something like that. So they didn't take chances from that. I think Luton want to win. Obviously, 3 draws in a row now. They're going in the right direction from that 5-0 battering against Birmingham. It's now getting the goals and taking chances, making them throw the fortress again because it took a little bit of a dent from that 5-0 game. I think that we'll win this one 2-1 because they always concede a sloppy goal like they have done for the last 2 games. Right, up next at the Riverside Stadium, it is Middlesbrough versus Blackpool. Blackpool finding it tough again, not picking up the points. Middlesbrough knew that they were going to get something against Nottingham Forest because everyone seemed to get something against Nottingham Forest, but Neil Warnock will be happy that they've got 3 points.
Yeah, he'll be happy they got 3 points. I think he'll be very happy they got a clean sheet after the last 2 performances prior, particularly the one away at Coventry. And I would expect them to continue in the same vein again. I know Blackpool, I've said it all season, are more of a threat on the road. They've scored virtually all of their goals on the road already this season. I think it's, 4 on the road, 1 at home. Shane Lavery's a threat on the break. He's got pace. And the Blackpool team has generally got a lot of energy, but it hasn't got the quality to withstand Middlesbrough and the direct style of play. So I think I'm going to have to go for Middlesbrough to sneak it by 2-1. I think it'll be a comfortable win, but I still think they'll concede.
Yeah, Middlesbrough are obviously capable of conceding goals anyway. Blackpool, they are finding it tough. I think they've been honest. And I think it's similar to what Luton were when they got promoted into into the Championship, shall I say? That'd be a dream, Luton getting the Premier League. But when they got to the Championship, I think it was the same thing. They were too honest with themselves. And I think they're going to have to tweak what they do to be a bit more ruthless and gain more points. I think they're going to find this one tough. I'm going to go for 1-0 to Middlesbrough. Up next in the new den, it is Millwall versus Coventry. Millwall, a couple more points, going to be a draw specialist. Coventry flying high in 4th place.
Yes, both of those things could be true, Craig, but Millwall are a better side at home and Coventry are a better side at home. Coventry on the road this season, a little bit of a mixed bag, 1 win and 2 defeats, albeit the defeats obviously against QPR and Barnsley, 2 sides that are notoriously pretty good at home. Millwall should be pretty happy they've picked up good points on the road in the last couple of games. If they can make the new den a fortress again, as they are capable of doing, I think this could be a good season for them. However, we said it in the last one, Millwall playing patches. I don't know. I really don't know what to predict from this game. I think it's one of the hardest ones of the weekend. Coventry can deal with the direct style. They've got pace on the counter. I'm going Championship's favourite scoreline. I'm bottling it, I'm afraid.
It does have a draw written all over it. Draw seems fair. I'm going to go 1-0 Millwall. Don't know why. Draw seems the obvious, but I'm going to go 1-0 Millwall. Right, at London Road, it is Peterborough United versus Birmingham City. Peterborough away from home, they just keep conceding 3 goals plus. Birmingham, obviously, they had that defeat to Fulham. It does have a reading of an away win, but Peterborough are stronger at home.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say here. Is Peterborough are stronger at home and Birmingham are stronger on the road. So in theory, this should be the game of the weekend. But I agree with you. I think Birmingham will just be too strong. I mean, I can only judge it on, I watched Peterborough at Luton really struggle. I watched Birmingham destroy Luton. So based on that, I have to back a Birmingham win. I know they got beat heavily by Birmingham, but they still created chances. They just couldn't cope with Fulham's, let's be honest, borderline Premier League attacking talent. Peterborough, defensively, they're just too poor. And I look at them similar to when we had our depleted Luton defence and just think Birmingham are going to tear it apart. I'm going to go big. I hate to say it. I'm going to go for about 4-2 Birmingham. It's going to be the crazy game of the weekend.
Okay, I'm going to bring the craziness back down to earth a little bit because I'm going to go 3-1 to Birmingham. Joy Tini's obviously now scored. All right, it was a penalty spot, but it's good for his confidence to get back onto the scoring charts. Peterborough got to stop conceding sloppy goals. They've really got to. I know obviously at home's a bit different, but they've got to stop conceding sloppy goals. It's vintage Luton from 3 seasons ago now. So that's how I see it. And the same obviously with Blackpool. So I'm going to go Birmingham to win 3-1. Deepdale, it is Preston North End versus West Bromwich Albion. Preston, do you think that confidence would have grown from scoring in the 95th minute?
Oh, it has to have. And the fact that it keeps the unbeaten run going, which I think is so undervalued at this stage, since they've started to get some of their star players back from injury, they have been unbeaten. 5 games in all competitions, 4 in the league. They're starting to score goals. On occasions, they've shown good backs to the wall defensive displays. And the problem for West Brom is, I know it's back-to-back draws, and 2 very disappointing ones, but they had enough chances to win 2 or 3 games against Derby. And all it takes is strikers to be on form or to have that finishing touch from 20 yards. And suddenly you've got a 3 or 4-0 on your hands. I think West Brom are going to nick it despite the good form Preston are in. But to be fair, we've got to give Preston credit because we started to say as the manager under pressure and they've not lost a game since. So 2-1 West Brom. But again, I think it'll be a pretty good game, this one.
I'm going to go for my crazy one. I'm going to go 3-0. It's not even crazy, really. Any reason I'm going to go convincing 3-0 win. I think West Brom due a battering. I know they battered Sheffield United a month or so ago, but they're due one away from home, and I can see it being this game. And the final game is QPR versus Bristol City. QPR lost 2-1 to Bournemouth. Bristol City got conceded in the last minute to Luton. Let's talk about Bristol City because we both watched Bristol City. I found them really boring. What about you?
I don't know if boring's the right word even. I found them very cautious at home to a side that they should be striving to get a result against. I think a lot of what was said in the comments was actually proven right. I was very surprised by the apathy of the home support. You couldn't really hear it throughout the game. Yeah. And even at the stage when they went 1-0 up, you just felt with a bit of backing, this could be the day. And I understand they haven't won a home game in, 8 months now. They've been a long time without a home win. And I can understand why fans would be frustrated. But when your side's 1-0 up in a game like that against a team that's struggling to put chances away, that's when you've got to bring the house down and make sure that your side get over the line. We've talked about the Nigel Pearson problems at home. He'll probably be secretly delighted this game's on the road. And his job for this season is to keep them up and rebuild the squad. And hopefully over the course of the year, he can do that because they're a club with massive potential. QPR had enough chances to get a point against Bournemouth, probably should have late on. Andre Gray made a difference again. Made really good assist for the goal. And probably could lead the line if Charlie Austin's not back for the weekend. I think QPR will get a result, but they've started to show some QPR signs defensively. So against the odds, I'm going to finish with a thrilling draw. I'm going for 2 apiece.
I'm not. Bristol had a lot of corners first half. Sluga didn't have anything to do, I think. Obviously, they had to pick the ball out of the net in the second half, but they didn't do it. They didn't push on. I know obviously you talk about the home confidence is not there. Obviously, no win in the league since January or something like that. But I just thought they just didn't do enough to actually, all right, let's push that second. Let's go over that line. And obviously, looking at the goal, it's a terrible goal to concede. Obviously, delight for us. We're buzzing from it, but it's a terrible goal. Obviously, Dan Bentley, I don't know what he was thinking. Just clear it, just clean the house. He didn't, and try and claim for a free kick is just embarrassing for me. But yeah, I think there's a lot of work for Bristol City to have to do this season. Yeah, they've got to do a lot more for me. I'm not convinced by them at all. I don't think they're going to get anything from this result. QPR will be stronger, a lot stronger, especially at the Keane Prince Foundation Stadium. Tight ground. I'm going to think QPR will win this game 2-0. And let's have a quick recap of what we just predicted for match day 8. Cody's going for a wild 4-2 win for Birmingham at Peterborough. I think West Brom will convincingly beat Preston 3-0 at Deepdale. And those are predictions for match day 8. Do you agree with us or disagree with us? Let us know in the comment section down there. And while you're down there, give this video a like, subscribe to the Honest Football Podcast, and you can follow us on Twitter at Honest Football 3. And we'll see you next time.